Welcome to Time of Death. This video is for informational purposes only and in no way meant to glorify or condone violence. In today's video, we'll be discussing the murder of Sean McKinley. McKinley was shot and killed Sunday, February 7th, 2010 in the 1700 block of North Castlegate Avenue in Compton, according to LA County Coroner records. Alan Gonzalez and Ricky Padilla were subsequently arrested and charged with the murder. The following is the evidence at trial. On February 7th, 2010, at around 7 p.m., Triquan Jenkins, his brother Chris Hazley, their cousin Sean McKinley, and friends Shamia Ruffin and Jesse Holmes were standing near an intersection in Compton when a tan or brown Tahoe or Suburban pulled up with the passenger side facing them. The front passenger was identified as Padilla. He asked, "Where y'all from?" And McKinley replied, "It's the mob over here," referring to a gang in Compton to which Jenkins belonged. Padilla then fired approximately 5 rounds at the group. McKinley was hit 3 times and died. Ruffin was hit in the leg and survived. Officers later recovered the Chevy Tahoe used in the shooting, which had been stolen from Daniel Virgen that morning. 3 days later, on February 10, 2010, at around 1:55 p.m., Gonzalez and Padilla exited a white Nissan Sentra and approached Samuel Quesada Tejeda as he buckled his 3-year-old daughter into the backseat of his blue Honda Accord. Gonzalez carried a revolver and Padilla carried a semi-automatic gun. Padilla pointed his gun at Quesada Tejeda's stomach and demanded money in Spanish, and Quesada Tejeda responded he only had $10. Gonzalez also pointed his gun at him. Padilla took his car keys and got into the Honda while Gonzalez returned to the Nissan. Quesada Tejeda asked him about 15 times to leave his daughter, who was in the back seat of the car crying. As Padilla drove away, Quesada Tejeda ran after the car for about a block. Padilla stopped, exited the car, pointing his gun at Quesada Tejeda again, and told him to take his daughter, which Quesada Tejeda did before Padilla drove away. On February 10th, 2010, at approximately 9:25 p.m., Monty Hill was at the Food for Less store on Rosecrans and Central Avenues in Compton. After making his purchases, he returned to his Suburban in the parking lot. As he put the Suburban into gear, he noticed a Hispanic man he identified as Gonzalez walking close to the back of the vehicle. Gonzalez walked up to the driver's door, opened it, and started shooting at Hill without saying a word. At least one shot went near Hill's face before he slammed on the gas and tried to close the door. As he drove off, Hill heard 2 additional shots. Hill called 911 when he arrived home. He noticed a bullet hole in the driver's side back door and a bullet hole on the door jamb inside his vehicle. At around 9:44 p.m., uniformed LA County Sheriff Department deputies Kevin Lawler and DJ Barber responded to Hill's call in a marked police cruiser and spotted Gonzalez walking on 139th Street. Deputy Lawler lost sight of him as Gonzalez stopped behind a Trailblazer. Deputy Barber illuminated him with the spotlight, exited his patrol car, and pulled his gun. As Deputy Lawler exited the car, he heard gunshots but did not see where they were coming from and could not see Gonzalez. Deputy Barber saw muzzle flashes coming from where Gonzalez was hidden, so he took a tactical position behind the rear passenger side of the Trailblazer and fired 2 shots towards Gonzalez around the front of the car. At that moment, he was approximately 20 to 25 feet away from Gonzalez. The deputy then saw Gonzalez running away westbound. As he fled, he turned and fired more shots at them. They fired back. Gonzalez then jumped a fence out of the deputy's sight. LA County Sheriff Deputy David Perry and his partner also responded to the 139th Street area in search of the carjacking suspect. Deputy Perry heard gunshots and saw Gonzalez holding a chrome pistol and running westbound on 139th Street toward Parmalee Avenue. Gonzalez pointed the gun at Deputy Perry, and Deputy Perry fired at him. Gonzalez then ran into a driveway and yard area. He was eventually found hiding under a boat in the backyard and arrested. In the area where he was arrested, officers recovered keys to Virgen's Chevy Tahoe, a pink slip for Quesada Tejeda's blue Honda, and numerous credit cards with the names of Daniel Virgen, Cristina Gonzalez, and victims of an uncharged burglary earlier the same evening. Sometime that evening, between 9 and 10 p.m., Padilla called his sister Crystal Padilla and asked her to pick him up. Driving a white Nissan, she arrived and saw her cousin Johnny Bracamontes exiting the Food for Less. When she asked where Padilla was, Bracamontes said he got split up from the group. She and Bracamontes drove to Little Caesars and picked up Padilla and his girlfriend Carla Ibarra. The four then tried taking back streets through the neighborhood to avoid traffic and the streets blocked by police, but they were eventually stopped. Inside the car, officers recovered an LA Dodger cap, a sweatshirt with the word Compton on it, a Chicago Cubs baseball cap, a Little Caesars pizza, and a laptop computer later determined to have been stolen during an earlier uncharged burglary. Quesada Tejeda's blue Honda was found in the Food for Less parking lot. After his arrest, Gonzalez told police the gun he used was hidden under a brick in the backyard of a house near where he was arrested, and it was hot, meaning other murders had been committed with it. He also admitted he took the gun out of his pocket, aimed and fired 2 shots at the deputies because they shined the spotlight on him, and he was angry about what happened to a fellow Compton Varrio Tokers gang member named Big Mouse, also known as Felipe Valdovinos, who was shot and killed by police in a taco truck robbery in 2009. The police recovered Gonzalez's gun in the location Gonzalez identified. Ballistic evidence revealed the bullets and cartridges recovered from the McKinley shooting, the Food for Less parking lot, and the shootout location with police on 139th Street all came from the recovered gun. Detective Dennis Salcedo, who was the lead investigator for the shootings at the Food for Less and with officers thereafter, testified as a gang expert. He explained the Compton Varrio Tokers was a Hispanic gang in Compton, and in late 2009 and early 2010, it had approximately 10 to 15 active members and 60 documented members. Members used the letters TKS or CVTKS, and they used items in apparel bearing the letters T and C. After a joint trial, the jury found Ricky Padilla and Alan Gonzalez guilty on multiple counts, including murders, attempted murders, carjackings, burglaries, kidnapping, and gun and gang enhancements. Padilla was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, plus 160 years. Gonzalez was sentenced to 130 years to life in prison, plus 22 years. Sean McKinley was 25 years old at the time of death.